Now, you all may have heard of the internet personality Miss Netta. I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I don't know why this individual is famous. Like, I mean, I see this person's videos in passing, but I don't really know what this person is famous for. Like, honestly, it gives the vibes of sometimes, like Ice JJ Fish. Everybody remembers Ice JJ Fish. He got famous because people were making fun of him, right? And I'm not gonna hold you, I get the same vibe with Mr. Netta here, okay? Now, let's get into what Mr. Netta said about black women. And this brings up a very good point that I have always said. It's funny because a lot of trans women aspire to be women, but they hate women. Oh, y'all, we're gonna have to get into this. I'm going to show you all Mr. Netta's video, and then you all can, form your own conclusions, and then we will actually get into it. So here's his video responding to, I'm not sure what on earth he was responding to, but here's his video.
Black women, but that's what she's trying to be. No, it's not. I ain't trying to be no motherfucking black woman. Because I can say some of the baddest things about some black ass women that I know. So hell no, I ain't trying to be no black woman. If that's the case, I want to be a white woman. Because they more smarter. Because y'all sit up, y'all act so damn ignorant and act like y'all don't know how to get shit. And y'all just then you want to sit up and want shit given to you all the damn time. But then you want to cry about it. So don't look at me and don't try to be, belittle me because I get on here and I fuss at you motherfuckers because y'all get on here, y'all do it. Ain't no white women on my page disrespecting me, cussing me out and all up in me and my husband business. Hell no, because they know how to mind their damn business, but you bitches don't. And then when I get on y'all ass, oh, yeah, like black women. Bitch, no, I just don't like you. Okay? That be my point. I don't like you. It ain't about no black women or men. Because guess what? I get on the motherfucking men's too. And I know you see that. So it ain't just about no black.
I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I don't think that it's important to know what this individual is responding to. Because bottom line, end of the day, if that's your response, then like it don't matter what you was responding to, right? Same way, if this was a white person, right? And a white person said, oh, I'm not trying to be a black person. If I was trying to be somebody, I want to be so-and-so because they smarter than y'all and yada, 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 so-and-so and so. Right? It'll be racist regardless of what they was replying to, okay? It don't matter what they was replying to. The fact that that was the response, clearly that would be racist, right? So same thing here. I don't care what he was responding to. If this is the way that he chose to go about it, then very clearly he has an issue with black women. And this is important to talk about in the context of trans women. And let me explain exactly why. Now we're going to get into an honest discussion here. So if you're delusional, because I know some folks are. Look, I get it, baby. I get it, okay? Like I was raised a Christian. And I started to question my faith, and I was like, this doesn't really make any sense. But I told myself, you know what, don't even think about it. Just keep practicing, and hopefully, we'll just start to believe again, right? So I understand being delusional and not wanting to face your thoughts and actually look at what makes sense. I get it. So if that's you, you can just go on ahead, mosey on down the road now, right? But anyway, we're going to actually get into this discussion because this is something that I've talked about, right? I've talked about this time and time again, and clearly I'm going to talk about it time and time again forevermore. This is the reality, right? First of all, there are biological differences between the sexes, absolutely. But there are also social differences, okay? And let me give y'all an example of that, right? So for those of y'all who don't know, I used to be a competitive chess player, and to this day, I still coach chess sometimes, right? So one time I went into this new school, right? It was my first day at this school coaching chess, right? And I come into the classroom and one little boy looks at me and says, oh, are you the chess coach's sister? And I asked him, why would I be the chess coach's sister? Because what? First of all, if I'm the chess coach's sister, where's the chess coach at, right? And then second of all, why would the chess coach bring his or her sister? Like what, right? But clearly in this boy's mind, chess is not a girl thing, right? So I have to have a brother who is the actual chess coach, and I must be his sister who is just here for whatever reason, okay? Now, that doesn't make any damn sense, but that goes to show you the conditioning that we receive, right? Because as soon as we're born, people start to teach us, oh, girls do this and boys do that. Now, I'm going to tell you all the truth. To this day, and it was especially way worse when I was a kid, right? But to this day, chess is predominantly guys. Like, you know, you go to a chess tournament or something, it's mostly going to be men, right? So clearly either somebody told this boy something like, oh, boys play chess or whatever, right? Or he observed what was going on around him. Maybe he'd been to chess tournaments and chess clubs and he noticed, oh, pretty much everybody here is a guy. So he, you know, came to the conclusion, well, chess must be for guys, right? The point in me sharing this story is the social conditioning that we received if we're a boy versus a girl. Like something I've said before. I wish that I had the confidence of an ill-prepared man. I swear to God, because men don't have to know what the hell was going on. They would just go into something and be like, yeah, I can do this. Like, I got it. You know what I'm saying? Because again, that's a difference in the social conditioning that boys receive versus girls. Because men are they're raised differently. It really is the case, right? And I'm saying this for a reason, okay? When you come into this world, right, when you're born, and folks say, oh, it's a boy or oh, it's a girl, you're going to be raised differently, okay? This is the reality. Somebody who is a trans woman came into this world and everybody said, oh, it's a boy, right? And that person was raised as a boy and grew up as a boy and a man in this society. And that alters the way that we think. Now, this conversation definitely has a lot to do with boys versus girls and the different social conditioning that we receive, right? But it transcends that, because let's take it outside the scope of that conversation, right? If you go to somebody's house, right, and you look in their refrigerator can tell you a lot about the way that they grew up. And let me give you an example of that, right? I noticed that when I look in my fridge, right, I have like half an onion, a stick of butter, you know what I'm saying, whatever, right? And I notice the same thing when I look at my friends' refrigerators, right? But then when I go to my parents' house, the fridge is always full of food. And it makes no sense because all of my parents' kids are grown now. Like, nobody lives with them anymore. So you would think, well, it's just two people living in the house. Why is the fridge so full, right? But you go to some other people's houses and you see the same thing. Even if they ain't got kids or nothing, the fridge is like full of food and you can't even eat that much. Why is there this much food in the fridge, right? But that tells you about how people grew up. Because if you grew up in a home where you were never hungry, then you don't have issues with food scarcity, right? Because growing up, my family, we was broke as hell, but look, my mama managed to cook something for dinner every night, and I gotta give a shout out to her for that, right? So as broke as we was, even though at the time the lights was cut off or something, I was never hungry, okay? And you can tell that when you look in my fridge. When you look in my fridge, you can tell I don't have thoughts of, oh man, where's my next meal coming from, you know? But then when you look in other people's refrigerators, and you'll be thinking like, you live by yourself. Why is the fridge overflowing with fucking food? Like, this doesn't make any sense, right? But that probably tells you something about food scarcity, right? They probably grew up in, you know, an environment where there wasn't always food. So now they have this recurrent thought, I need to have food in the fridge because who knows where my next meal is coming from, you know? And I'm saying that because, again, folks will be grown and you can tell from their fridge how they grew up as children, right? My parents is 70-something years old, right? I'm almost 30, right? But you can look in our refrigerators and tell that we grew up differently as children. We had different childhoods, okay? And I'm saying that to make another point, right? We can sit here and pretend, right, that this conditioning that we receive as children just disappears one day or whatever, but it doesn't. It stays with us for the rest of our lives. I'm saying all this for a reason. There's a reason I'm saying all this, right? When you come into the world and the doctor says it's a boy, right? You are raised differently than if the doctor had said it's a girl, okay? That's just the reality. We can acknowledge that. No matter what society you go to, the girls and the boys are raised differently. That's the reality of the fact, right? When you are declared to be a boy, society teaches you certain things. And one of the things that society teaches you is that women are inferior. Now, I'm speaking on a lot of societies. Maybe that's not the case with some societies. Maybe that's not the case. But I'm going to speak about the society that I grew up in and that a lot of other people grew up in, right? In a lot of societies, women are second-class citizens, right? You notice that if somebody says you do something like a girl, that's an insult. Oh, you run like a girl. You hit like a girl. You whatever, right? That's an insult. And something else that I noticed, something I was thinking about, right, is how in the society that I grew up in, maybe it's different for other societies, but I'm going to talk about mine. It's widely accepted if a girl grows up as a tomboy. If a girl grows up more masculine than feminine, that's whatever. It's cool, right? But if a boy grows up more feminine, that's unacceptable. Like nobody named that. Nobody calls that a tom girl or anything. That's not acceptable at all, right? And I really do think that that has to do with the fact that, again, womanhood and femininity and those things are looked down on, while masculinity is more embraced. If you are raised and socialized and conditioned as a boy, the reality is a lot of y'all are taught to hate women. And I'm not even going to just say this is something within the black community, even though Mr. Netta is a black man who identifies as a woman and he's talking down on actual black women, right? I'm not even going to say that this is just something that happens in the black community, because it's not. This is something that happens in plenty of communities, right? Men are raised to look down on women. They're raised to be misogynistic. They're raised to be sexist. They're raised to be ABCXYZ, right? And something that nobody likes to talk about is what happens when a man grows up and begins to identify as a woman, right? So what happens when a man says, hey, actually, I'm a trans woman? Do you think that hatred that he was conditioned to have just disappears, just evaporates, just alakazam, ooga booga doom, and it's just gone, right? Do you really think that? Because I don't think that for a second. It's very interesting when you see somebody who was raised to hate women and still hates women begin to identify as a woman, because it's like this constant internal battle. It's not that hard to tell that a lot of trans women hate women. It's really not that hard to tell, and it's not that surprising considering the fact that they were raised the exact same way that a cisgender man is raised, right? It's really not that hard to tell at all, right? You will see trans women say things like they are the blueprint for women. Like, they will literally say, oh yeah, women want to be like us, we more feminine. Huh? Now, that doesn't even make any sense. There's no point in me sitting here addressing that and saying like, what? Because clearly that's not rooted in any sort of reality, right? But it really highlights the internal battle that a lot of these people are having. How must it feel when you identify as something that you are raised to hate? like you're raised to hate women, then you begin to identify as a woman, but you still hate women, right? So you still have to put us down and call us things like fish. You know what I'm saying? They're going to come to the comments, oh, that's not offensive. It literally is. But you know what? We're not even going to get sidetracked in this video because that's not the main point of this video, right? You see them constantly trying to put women down and make it seem like they the blueprint of womanhood. Like, huh, nigga, how is you? Like, huh? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But again, it goes to show you the very serious internal battle that a lot of them are having. I, for one, am not at all shocked by what Mr. Netta said. I'm not shocked by this at all. The fact that you wear dresses and you wear makeup is never going to change the fact that you still think like a man. You still a grown-ass man up here. Until you get to the point where you can acknowledge what is going on and face the actual facts, you're never going to be content with yourself. Honestly, I feel bad for him. Can you imagine how hard it must be to not only want to be something that you never will be, right? But then to also hate that thing at the same time. Like, you want to be a black woman, which you never gonna be, right? But then you also hate black women. Like, does anybody else not feel bad for this dude? I feel bad for him. But this is my thing. I'm going to need you to figure out how to deal with your shit and stop trying to drag black women. Because I tell y'all this all the time. No amount of tucking your dick is going to change the fact that you can be violently anti-black woman. No amount is going to change that. You all like to pretend that putting on a dress means that you're not an oppressor, but you still are. You still got all them same nigga tendencies and all them same nigga behaviors that every other nigga got, but you think that because you got a dress on, suddenly you're not the oppressor anymore. But you are, though.